What is up? Welcome back to E&E Teachers. I want to talk about the first day of school. I know that it's March right now, but YouTube lives forever. And when I was going into my first day of school, I wanted to throw up. I was so anxious. And this year I had to go to new teacher orientation because I was a new hire for my district. And a lot of teachers there were like really seeking support in this area. So I wanted to make a video. It's going to be a little longer about how I handle the first day of school and what I do. These are my actual slides from the first day of school, and I'm just going to go from start to finish what we do. Just for context, I teach 11th grade US history. I work at a school that's on a block schedule, so my classes are about an hour and a half long. So I'm going to go through all the different resources I use. A lot of these are on my Teachers Pay Teachers. I'm going to go through procedures, what we do, all of the things. So first things first, when you are going into the first day of school, do not think of yourself as a teacher. Think of yourself as like a procedure manager, because you need to be thinking about how do you want the kids to come in the room? When do you want them to sit down? What materials do you need? You are more focused on procedures and creating routine than you are actual learning. I think that procedures and classroom rules are honestly like the most important part about classroom management, and they can really make or break your instruction. So in my eyes, before we get to learning, we need to do procedures and routines. So what I do is as they walk in the door on the first day, I give them something like easy or fun to do on a piece of paper. Sometimes I put a blank map of the US and I see how much they can fill in. Sometimes I put trivia questions. Sometimes it's a little coloring, whatever. Something easy that all they need is the piece of paper and a pencil that they can be working on as we take attendance. Because in my opinion, what is that saying? Idle hands are the devil's playground. These kids need to have something they're going to be working on, because if you don't give them something to work on, they're going to find something to do and you're probably not going to be happy with what they're doing. So as they walk in, I love to do a blank US map just to see what states they know. I give them their little piece of paper. And then I have my seating chart projected onto the board. The reason I have two desks in this PowerPoint is because I have a co-teacher. So normally it would say her name, but I took it off, obviously. So when they walk in, they see on the board exactly where they are supposed to be sitting. I have my desk in groups, and on the desk, there's pieces of tape. So like the yellow group, every desk has a piece of big yellow tape on it, and it has the number on the desk as well. So they know exactly what chair they are supposed to be in. The reason that I give them an assigned seat on the first day is because if you start that way, you can always later be like, y'all have been doing great. Pick your own seats. But if you let them pick their own seats, it's going to be really hard to assign them later. I always recommend being stricter at the beginning, which I hated when people used to give me that advice, but it's so true. So anyway, they come in, they sit down, they're working on their little map. Maybe you can give them like something else that correlates to your subject area. While they are working on that, I go around the room and take attendance. I know a lot of teachers like to take attendance out loud on the first day. I don't like to do that because I always mispronounce people's names, and I'd rather handle that privately than publicly. Another reason I like to go around the room and take attendance is because I make sure that they sat in the correct seat. And again, if they are being defiant about that, I would rather handle that one-on-one rather than in front of the entire class. So I go around to each seat and I just go, what's your name? And then if they're in the right seat, nice to meet you. And I check them off. If they're in the wrong seat, oh, you're actually supposed to be in that seat right over there. Could you move for me? Don't accuse them of anything. They were probably just confused. It's the first day of school. Just be like, hey, could you move over to your correct seat for me? Just for future reference. That's where you're supposed to sit. Just handle it like it was a total mistake. Even if in your spirit, you know they did it on purpose, handle it like it was a mistake. It'll get you a lot of love from them, maybe, hopefully. So everyone's working on their little paper, whatever. Once that is done and I'm done taking attendance, we go ahead and get into it. Ignore this slide. My students go to lunch really awkwardly during our class, so that's when they went to lunch, but they came back, we got started. Normally in classes that don't have lunch, I just collect that little tiny paper and I'm like, if you didn't finish, no worries, it was just for fun. Let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to US history class. I like to put a GIF in there. Sue me. And then I put my name on there. I make sure everyone knows my name, how to pronounce my name, whatever. I like to do kind of a pulse check, how they're feeling being back in school. And then the first thing I go over is my classroom rules. I have been using the same classroom rules for years. Feel free to steal them. I love these classroom rules. They're amazing. This is kind of my like opinion around the classroom rule universe. A lot of people in this lovely time are like, Let's make the rules as a community. The kids should have input on the rules. I love where your head is at, and I'm going to immediately say no. I think it's really important to set the tone that this is your classroom, these are your rules, and you are the adult. I think if on the first day you're like, what do you guys think the rules should be? It could work out great, or it could work out absolutely terrible, and you can always adjust these later. So, classroom rules, not only do I put them on the PowerPoint, I also have the students be following along on the PowerPoint. So this is just a super basic, what are the class rules? This little paper correlates to my first day PowerPoint. You can see it's not hard at all. Another reason I like to do this is boom, 100 in the grade book. I like everyone to start the class with 100, and I tell them that. Fill out this little paper as we go over our rules and procedures. As long as you do it, you'll get 100 in the grade book. And they're like, oh, cool. And then it also gives them something to be doing while we go over all the rules and procedures, because I know the first day of school is like really not that fun, and it's just like adults talking at them. So I try and have that little piece of paper just to keep them engaged, and so they get something out of paying attention. So I love my classroom rules because they are purposely vague and they can kind of apply to any situation. So rule number 1, we treat everyone in this room, including ourselves, with kindness and respect. I spend the most time on this rule because it's the most important. I like to go around the room and give some examples. So I'll say, we treat everyone in this room, including ourselves, with kindness and respect. An example of treating someone with kindness and respect is letting a friend borrow your pencil. Another example of treating someone with kindness and respect is if someone bumps into you, just say, excuse me, and everyone forgives, forgets, and moves on. That's very respectful. And then I ask the kids, can you raise a hand and give me an example of treating someone with kindness and respect? I ask them for a couple examples of what we are supposed to do. Then I like to give examples of what we do not do. So I say, what's an example of someone breaking this rule? I think someone breaking this rule would be if they cursed at their friend. I think an example of someone breaking this rule is if they were talking really loudly while everyone's trying to work. Is that respectful? Just kind of have them give some examples and you give some examples, so they don't just see what the rule is, they see what that looks like on a day-to-day basis. We use technology appropriately. Appropriately is pretty vague. That means you're doing it for your work. So I'll say, is watching your friends' highlights on YouTube an appropriate use of technology in class? Yes, no, and we talk about it. We ask for help when we need it. I do a whole big spiel here about how I'm always here for you. I don't want you to be stressed out. I don't want you to be struggling. I'm always happy to talk to you. If you need help, feel free to come to me. If I'm busy, we can always set up a time after school. I just go through like, how do you get help? And so that'll look different in every class. Do they come after school? Do they email you? Just ask them how we get help, or tell them how they get help and have them give examples and things like that. So one example I give here is like, if we are looking at a political cartoon and your paper is kind of blurry and it's really hard for you to see, what should you do? And they say, raise your hand, ask you to send it to us, put it on the board. Just try and give them examples of a time you need help. We come to class ready to focus, learn, and work. Because to me, and what I always tell them, we all have problems. We all have struggles. We all have stresses. I don't expect you to do work outside of this room. So I do expect that when you come to this room, you're focused on US history. Obviously, real life does not shake out like that. When kids are going through crises, obviously, I make exceptions for them. But I like to set the tone that in this room, we work on US history. We don't screw around. We don't do work for other classes. We don't play on social media. We do work on US history. And then we are respectful of each other's space and our virtual/physical learning space. So for virtual, I asked them for examples. So one kid said like using a curse word as your name on Blook It, or like copying off other people's work on Canvas or Google Classroom. So again, I give examples. I ask them for examples. We spend a while on the classroom rules. And on that first day assignment, they do have to write out all of the rules. And I keep these up the entire year. I got my rules printed at Walmart. You can order prints. If you have nice handwriting or even just mediocre handwriting, my handwriting is god awful. You can't even read it. So I got mine printed at Walmart. But you can just write them out on a piece of like anchor chart paper. And if you don't know what anchor chart paper is, ask your admin for a piece of anchor chart paper, and just post it on the wall, and it should live there all year. Procedures. This is going to look different in every single school and every single classroom. So when I host my class, when I have my class, they come in, they have to check their name off for attendance and put their phone in the number pocket. So whatever procedures you have, make sure you make those very, very clear. I also have everyone signed up for Remind. They also get a grade for this. So like I said earlier, I want everyone to start with 100 in the class. So on the first day of school, they get like 3 grades. And as long as they do them, they're all hundreds. Because I really like to send the message, if you come here and follow directions, you will do well. I will reward you for doing work. I really want to make that abundantly clear. And then I also want to make clear, if you come here and don't follow directions, you will immediately have a consequence. Your consequence being a 0 in the grade book. So like some kids just crumpled this up and threw it away. And then the next day they were like, can I have that paper? I want to do it. Oh, I'm sorry. That was for participation live. I'm sorry. Obviously, if a kid is absent, don't like screw them over on the first day of school. But kids that you saw that they made a choice to not engage when we were doing a group activity, 0. Sorry. Love you. Y'all probably think I'm so mean from this video. Then I go over, I like them to bring their Chromebooks every day. I also recommend them getting a binder or a folder, whatever that means for you. So, raffle tickets. I use a raffle system for behavior incentives. Let me get into a little bit of what that looks like. So I have raffle tickets, literally like the ones you get at a carnival. I give each kid a ticket. Some people do where it has like you break the ticket and they have the number. I don't like to do that. I think it's confusing. I just give them a generic raffle ticket. I've also used scraps of paper. When I've been broke, I just give them little scraps of paper. They write their name on the back of it. How do they get a raffle ticket? For being good. Remind me to take attendance. You get 100. You raised your hand. You were working hard. You were on task, whatever. So the better you are in class, the more work you get done, the higher your scores are, the better questions you ask, the more participation you have, whatever that looks like. There's lots of ways, academic and behavior wise, to get raffle tickets. Anytime they're being good, I give them a ticket. So the more often you get tickets, the higher your chances are. All the tickets go in a jar. I literally just have like a mason jar in my classroom. And then once a week on Friday, I pull out 3 winners. Those winners get chips, prizes, whatever. They really like this for a couple of reasons. 1, they like getting prizes. I like getting prizes too. That's understandable. 2, they feel very motivated in class because they see other people getting the raffle tickets and then they want to do work and get their raffle tickets. Another reason that I really enjoy doing this is because I know a lot of people do like classroom cash where they save up and buy things. I like doing raffle because I can be more dramatic and not have to worry about being like out of stock or whatever. Because at the beginning of the year, it's like 1 raffle ticket here, 1 raffle ticket here. By the end of the year, I'm like begging them to do work. So I'm like, I'll give you 20 raffle tickets. So I don't want to use classroom cash because then we have inflation in the classroom cash. It's just a lot for me. So I think raffle is very, very straightforward and it makes it easy to just like, that's the winner. It's a prize, like, and it's kind of luck based, but you can increase your chances by getting more tickets in there. So I want to talk about what their prizes are. So I like to do the chips, the candy, all of that. There's also a couple things that are on my Teachers Pay Teachers. These are my student incentives on my Teachers Pay Teachers. There's lots of different things on here. What I do is I print these out, cut them up, and laminate them. So I reuse them. Some people print a new one and they sign it to prevent the kids from making copies. None of my students have a laminator, so I feel like that's an effective way to police this, is just by laminating them. So lots of different choices of prizes. Some of these I use, some of these I don't. I'll be 100% honest with you. This is a very popular one. I will call home and tell your people how amazing you are. And a lot of kids will save this. And then if they like got grounded, they'll be like, Miss Redacted, I need you to call today. It was a bad day. I'll call home. You get to use your headphones. You can borrow a phone charger. You get to pick your seat for the day. You get to work with a friend. There's a couple versions. This cannot be used on tests. This cannot be used on tests or quizzes. Get out of an assignment. This is also a very popular one. Pick the game that we play. Get an extra study day. Not ready for today's test? Use class time to study, and you can take this test after school. I should use that one again. I haven't used that in a while. Get out of an exit ticket, get out of a bell ringer, 10-minute break pass with your friend. Didn't do great, redo an assignment. You feel free to use these, not use these, whatever. Feel free to make your own. I kind of modified this year, and this is what I am using is a magic pass because it's everything in one. So this can be used for one of the following, and then I list off the most popular ones. Got another idea? Just ask. So I show these to the kids, and I show these are prizes that you can get when I go through my whole little raffle system. So my oh no nos, I like to list the very specific things that I don't like because I think it's important to set clear boundaries to kids. So if any of these happen, you will immediately be sent to the office and getting a referral. Not always, but I like to tell them that on the first day. Anything dangerous, refusing my email. Refusing to put your phone away, being blatantly disrespectful to me or another student, insults, cursing, yelling, taking anything that's not yours. And I specifically state if anyone steals raffle tickets or prizes, raffle will be canceled forever, which I have had to do before. Going in my desk area or touching my stuff without asking me. I don't like that. And my biggest one, lying. I always tell them, be real with me. Like I'm real with y'all, and I want you to be real with me, especially about where you're going and who you're with. If you need to go call your mom, be like, hey, Mr. Redacted, I really need to call my mom right now. Don't lie to me and say I'm in the restroom because God forbid there's a fire or something happens. I don't know where you are. I'm very understanding. If you tell me what's going on, we'll figure out a solution. But that's my big thing with them is lying about where they're going. Another example I give them is if you need to go get your book bag from your first period, don't tell me you have to go to the bathroom and you're gone for 20 minutes. Tell me I need to go get my book bag from first period. I am not an evil person. I am going to let you do what you need to do. Again, I think it's very, very important to just be clear with them about, all the things that you like, that you don't like. I go over a little bit about me. I also on the next slide have photos. I'm not going to show them to you because I just realized some of my students or former students' faces are on them. So we're just going to go into I tell them my shows, my snacks, whatever. And then I go around the room for them to get to know each other. I ask them for their name, how long they have gone to this school, because some kids, their first year at the school. I want to know that about you. I like to give them the chance to say a fun or a boring fact about themselves. I always give the example that I eat an apple every day for breakfast. That's really boring because sometimes when you say a fun fact, kids panic. So I say if you have something fun or you can do something boring. Then I have them fill out this Google form. The Google form, you guessed it, is also a grade. And I have my Google form on Teachers Pay Teachers. This takes a while. It is pretty long. I like to ask them a pretty lengthy amount of questions to get to know them. I do read all of their responses, so I will let you peruse this on your own time. But what's something you enjoy in school? What is a good grade to you? What's your goal this year? What's your favorite way to learn new info? There's a lot of questions on here. What do you like to do for fun? What's your favorite snack? Who are the important people in your life? Whatever. If you have different questions, feel free to make this yourself. But again, that Google form is on my Teachers Pay Teachers. It's called First Day Google Form. So then I kind of go through a little bit of my curriculum. I'll skip over some of this just because everyone has different curriculum, but I talk about how in U.S. history, sometimes we talk about things that are exciting and interesting, and sometimes we talk about things that are really depressing and sad. So I just remind them to always be respectful because these were real people and these were real things that happened to them. I show them some memes from my other students, and then I give them the course description. I go over the syllabus, all that fun stuff. I talk about how I do not believe in homework, but if you are not using your class time wisely, you do have to take care of your assignments at home. Go over more grading stuff. And again, I think it's important to set clear expectations with grades. Another life hack for being efficient, I use the same rubric for every single assignment. This is my rubric. I use it for everything. So you can see 100. The assignment was turned in, not plagiarized, and all of the answers are well written, clear, accurate, well elaborated, specific, and answered all parts of the question. 0. The assignment is plagiarized or not turned in. 80. The assignment was turned in and not plagiarized, but a few answers are missing key information or important details. They're incorrect, lack specificity, or are in need of more elaboration. I give them words to know. Elaborate, specificity and plagiarism. I'm big on plagiarism. It's a big problem at the high school level. I'm sure it is in other schools as well. So I like to give them very specific examples: copying the internet, copying a friend, copying the textbook, AI. Any form of plagiarism will result in a 0, no exceptions. I am crazy strict about that, but I do give them the opportunity to redo it. So I do not take points off if they redid it and it was perfect in their own words, whatever. And by perfect, I mean the whole thing was in their own words, not that they got 100 on it. Maybe they only got a 70, but it was in their own words. So again, on the plagiarism, it's a 0. I don't care. I don't want to talk about it until you redo it. Elaboration, I like to give them examples. What lacks elaboration? What does elaboration look like? Specificity, I am big, 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 big on examples. Lots of countries were fighting versus during World War II, the Axis powers, Germany, Italy, and Japan, were at war with the Allied powers, Great Britain, the United States, and the Soviet Union. I get more into plagiarism here. I get into my late work policy. I always say I'm very easy on late work. I just want you to do your work. I'm just big on, you need to let me know if you turn something in. I talk about how I don't want anyone to fail. And then I get into the fact that we have an EOC, the end of course exam. And then I ask for questions. So also on the first day, if I have any extra time, we play Blook It. We usually don't, but that is kind of a rundown of my entire first day of school. I hope that this was helpful to you. If you have any questions or anything else you want me to cover, let me know. And I'll link my Teachers Pay Teachers in the description here. There was a lot of good stuff from there on this video. But if you are watching this and tomorrow is your first day of school, you'll be great. Everything will be awesome. Just come in with a good attitude and show the kids that you love them and you're here from them. And from there, it'll be fine and you can do anything.